Your personal information is being sold online right now, not by hackers, but by data brokers, companies you've never heard of that collect your personal information and sell it. There are hundreds of these sites gathering your phone number, home address, your relatives' information, even your browsing activity, and once your data is out there, it spreads fast. That's why scam calls know your name. It's how strangers can look you up in seconds. And trying to remove your data yourself can take hours per site, with no guarantee it stays gone. Aura does it for you. They automatically find your information and send removal requests to over 200 data broker sites, then keep monitoring to make sure it stays gone, because your data can be relisted at any time. With Aura, you can even see where and when your data was found and removed. The longer your data stays out there, the more it spreads. Try Aura for free at aura.com/hidden. That's aura.com/hidden to try Aura for free.
Welcome to the Instagram stories for Thursday, April 7th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. Our biggest news of the day comes from Washington Post reporter Taylor Lorenz. I am a huge fan of Taylor Lorenz and her writing. I've talked about her and played a clip of her on the show last week. And just as a little bit of a recap to give a little bit more context to who she is, she started out as a writer for Business Insider, The Atlantic, Daily Beast, then got hired by the New York Times, and now she writes for the Washington Post, all about social media and tech news. She broke the story about how deeply disturbing what goes on in women's DMs truly is, specifically on Instagram. She shared a study that looked at over 8,700 direct messages to 5 high-profile women on Instagram and uncovered that Instagram failed to act on 90% of the abuse that these women got in their direct messages. This is an extremely disturbing article, and I believe every single piece of it because, quite frankly, it lines up with what we've seen from Instagram with respect to support. Have you tried to report a spammy DM that you got? What happened? Maybe you got a message back saying that they checked into the account and everything is fine, and you're wondering, how is that possible? This Washington Post article has a really good quote all about it. Here's the quote. Harassment, violent threats, image-based sexual abuse can be sent by strangers at any time and in large volumes directly into your DMs without consent, and platforms do nothing to stop it. End quote. Of course, the team at Meta, Facebook, had a response from Facebook's head of women's safety. Here's the quote. While we disagree with many of the CCDH's conclusions, we do agree that the harassment of women is unacceptable. That's why we don't allow gender-based hate or any threat of sexual violence, and last year we announced stronger protections for female public figures, end quote. I do frequently talk about the tools that Instagram has released to make this DM experience better, including stricter penalties for people who send abusive messages, the capability to block unwanted accounts and filters that, when turned on, automatically screen DM requests that have offensive words, phrases, and emoji. You can customize those words, phrases, so that they go into a hidden folder that you never see. And I personally have had very good success with those tools. However, I am not a woman who gets harassed through Instagram, so I can't really say that I completely can relate to this issue. This Washington Post article points out the biggest problem for high-profile female users. They have to decide whether to allow all requests from DMs for people they don't know or opt out entirely. If they do choose to keep DM messaging on from anyone, there's a special request box for messages from people who you're not connected with. And the women said that they have to check those folders to make sure that they find messages from their friends, don't miss out on business opportunities, and respond to corporate partners. If they shut off message requests entirely, it would mean that the channel that they have for receiving legitimate offers, media opportunities, and networking would not be possible. I definitely urge you to take a look at this article. I will link to it in the show notes, and follow Taylor Lorenz either on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok. Her writing is top-notch, and I love all of it. In other news, the Financial Times is reporting that the creator payout bonuses that Instagram has offered to creators for getting certain amounts of views on Reels have been cut down as much as 70% per view in the past few weeks. One user who would be paid normally a maximum of $35,000 for a well-performing reel said that their target for views jumped from 58 million views per reel to get that $35,000 to 359 million views for that same $35,000. That is crazy. The Financial Times article says that influencers have not been given reasons for the revised payouts, and the move comes despite the company publicly saying it was increasingly focused on video. Now, let's put those numbers in context with Instagram's profits. In 2019, Instagram brought in $20 billion. In 2020, Instagram brought in $22 billion. There is tons of money there to share with creators, so being stingy to me really doesn't make sense, especially when you're trying to push Reels to compete with TikTok. If you want to read more about that, I will link to the Financial Times article in the show notes. That's going to do it for today's show. Thanks for listening. Be sure to come back tomorrow for more Instagram news.
I'm not yet a member of the Instagram team, but my podcast covers many Instagram themes. But the name, image, logos are trademarks at Instagram and the LCC in the USA and every territory. Everything I publish independently until Zuck returns my DMs and starts to pay my salary. Not sponsored or endorsed, no lies, no fallacies. I use their logo with permission, not malicious or callously. No trademark violation, filling all criteria. Follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Daniel Hill Media.
Was I a little too fired up on this episode? I mean, I try to be normally a chill guy, but some things make me very upset. And as a product manager, if you don't take care of your users, they're not going to keep coming back. You can't treat your users terribly and expect that they won't leave for another platform. You can't not reward your users when other platforms that are arguably better and give better reach exist. You have to take care of your users if you want them to stay.